Thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring this episode. BetterHelp is the world's largest therapy service, and it's 100% online. With BetterHelp, you can tap into a network of over 25,000 licensed and experienced therapists who can help you with a wide range of issues. To get started, you just answer a few questions about your needs and preferences in therapy. That way, BetterHelp can match you with the right therapist from their network. Then you can talk to your therapist however you feel comfortable, whether it's via text, chat, phone, or video call. You can message your therapist at any time and schedule live sessions when it's convenient for you. If your therapist isn't the right fit for any reason, you can switch to a new therapist at no additional charge. With BetterHelp, you get the same professionalism and quality you expect from in-office therapy, but with a therapist who is custom-picked for you, more scheduling flexibility, and at a more affordable price. Get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/thebarn. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/thebarn.
Hello, my name is Jason Lowry.
And I am Mark Totally.
And this is the Parkland Podcast.
It's the Parkland Podcast with Jason and Mark. It's the Parkland Podcast with Jason and Mark. They got plenty to say. They got plenty of heart. On the Parkland Podcast with Jason and Mark. It's the Parkland Podcast. Yeah, the Parkland Podcast. It's the Parkland Podcast. Yeah, the Parkland Podcast with Jason and Mark. Jason and Mark.
Oh, man, that song never gets old.
It never fails.
It never fails. Number one in St. Francis County's most listened to songs. Well, no, I think Christmas music finally took back over this month, but otherwise, your brother was leading the way there.
He'll be back in January.
Yes, he will. Yes, he will. And so will we. But we still have 2 more shows for you in 2024. And episode 28 will feature a visit with Chip and Parks Petterson. They're going to talk about the history of Maple Valley a little bit. They're going to talk about a big free meal that CC's Pizza does every year on Christmas Day.
Chip is going to talk about that. Parks is going to talk about some things going on with county government, some big grant opportunities that they've awarded some money for. We had hoped that Debbie Petterson was going to be here, but she's watching a grandkid play basketball, so we understand that.
'Tis the season for that. We're also going to visit with former Farmington Mayor Mitt Landrum, and we learned this week, Mark, that there is going to be a contested mayoral race in the city of Farmington in April.
Yes, 3 people already, and maybe more. We'll get the latest on that coming up.
And the other communities as well in the county will check in with their mayoral and alderman races as well. Want to thank our sponsors for this episode. That includes Parkland Pharmacy, Discover Farmington, Save-A-Lots of the Parkland, Heimberger Construction, Subway of the Parkland, Booze and Bark Carpet, Flooring and Granite, and Southeast Missouri Mental Health Center. Mark Totally, what did you do this week?
We had lots of bell ringing for the United Way. We've got some very exciting things going on. A huge donation from Parkland Health Center in Farmington and Bonne Terre for the United Way. A huge thank you to the employees. This was all employee driven. We had a great week of bell ringing, and we had a men's club dinner. We had breakfast for dinner on Thursday night at St. Paul Lutheran Church, and a big thank you to the folks at Save-A-Lot because we got the bacon and the eggs from them, and man, was it good.
Oh, man, that sounds great right now. I love breakfast anytime. I can totally do that.
I also got me a couple gift cards. We do like a Christmas tree thing where we buy gift cards and things for folks in need, and I bought me 2 gift cards from Save-A-Lot. So, Clint, thank you very much. Love being able to give back to our businesses that support us.
Absolutely. One of the busiest weeks of the year for the Lowry family.
Yep.
It was Nutcracker Show Week, and Lucy is a soldier in the first act and then an angel in the second act, which is kind of accurate with how her personality works too. But so we were very busy with those performances. We had practice, I think, Saturday, Sunday. Tuesday night, and then performances Thursday night, Saturday afternoon. The boys had a pair of basketball games over the weekend. I'll give you the details about those in sports. And had a couple live streams this week through the facilities of BKTV. My dog got point blank skunked Friday morning. Like we literally, and it's my fault, but I'm not like too mad about it because I've been kind of lazy lately. Taking her outside without the leash, just, hey, let's walk over to the side of the house, do your thing, then come back in. Well, I think if I had her on the leash, it wouldn't have mattered because there was a skunk literally feet from our back door, and we both walked out. The dog circled the skunk. The skunk did their thing, and then...
Well, that could have been you, so it could have been worse.
Yeah, absolutely.
Does tomato sauce work?
Well,
tomato juice?
I watched YouTube as I put the dog cage on the front porch and watched my dog shiver. And the main things that I saw and I tried and it worked pretty well were hydrogen peroxide, 4 quarts, 1 quart, 4 cups, a fourth of a cup of baking soda, and a tablespoon of Dawn dish wash soap. Mixed that up, applied it to her, rinsed her off, did it a second time, and she actually does not smell bad.
And what about the skunk?
The skunk still stinks and is somewhere in Deloge Park right now. And if I see you, well, I don't know what I'll do to it.
Well, that won't be for podcast broadcast.
Yes. I guess I need to call animal control. Huh?
Yes.
So that was something. And then Redeker Family Christmas. We got there late because of all the basketball on Saturday night, but had a great time with that as well. And, just a very full week. Friday night, we all fell asleep watching a Christmas movie, which was just fantastic. I fell asleep like right in front of the fireplace, and I was so warm, unlike now. But
I've been going to the Open Door Coffee House
Yeah?
in Deloge the last couple of weeks. When I go to pick up money for the United Way, I stop off there, see Jason and Amy Welker. They have got great coffees, wonderful hot chocolate, and some of the best blueberry muffins I've ever had.
Wow. And it's great, too. They've taken a building there on Lincoln Street in Deloge that I can't remember the last time there was something physically there. And so just them alone getting in there and doing that is great for the community, and I wish them the continued success there.
You ready for a little music trivia?
I would love some. What do you got for
We're
us?
gonna quiz you, Jason Lowry.
Okay, I'm ready. I love music quizzes.
Some of these we think you'll know. Some
Okay.
of these may surprise you.
Okay.
All right. The Who was originally known as...
The what?
No, not the what.
Oh.
The Detours.
The Detours. Okay.
That one I knew.
Ah.
The Beatles had 3 names prior to their
Okay.
becoming the Beatles. Name any of the 3.
The Quarrymen.
You got that one.
Quarrymen. Golly.
My brother Tom is loving this, by the way.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to and then as soon as you say, I'm gonna be like, oh yeah.
I don't know. Well, one you might. Johnny and the Moondogs.
Okay, that I did not know.
And the Silver Beatles.
Okay, I remember the Silver Beatles. Yes.
What classic rock and roll group was known originally as Little Boy Blue and the Blue Boys?
Oh my. Ozark Mountain Daredevils.
Not even close.
Okay.
The Rolling Stones.
Oh really?
Yes, a little trivia for you.
Wow.
All right, this group was originally known as the Blue Velvets and then the Gollywogs.
The Yardbirds.
Not even close. Right time frame, so
Okay.
wrong continent. Creedence Clearwater Revival.
Oh, that makes sense now.
All right, and last but certainly not least, when formed, this group called themselves Teen King and the Emergencies.
Teen King and the Emergencies when this group formed. Okay, so that means it's like maybe like a super group of some sort, maybe?
I'll give you a little hint. If you're not sure, I'll give you a hint.
Yeah, go ahead and give me a hint.
They formed, they were actually backing up Linda Ronstadt.
Oh, that would be the Eagles.
That would be the Eagles.
That would
Very
be the Eagles.
good.
Yes,
Very
yes.
good. Yes.
Wow, that's some good music trivia, man. Stumped me there. Good job.
Yes.
What about a totally awesome radio story? Who are we going to pick on in our radio history?
We're going to pick on our good friend, Kevin Brooks, our engineer. I had been working at the radio station for about 2 or 3 months. This is back when most of J98 was automated. And anyway, all of a sudden, we went off the air. I had no idea what was going on, and I'm running around as a young man with thick, black, curly hair, just going crazy because I didn't know what to do. Kevin comes in with his wife, Doris, and he is fuming.
God bless
stuff's
Doris,
coming
too.
out of his ears. He goes, "It's a power surge. I knew it was a power surge. Doris knew it was a power surge. The whole city of Farmington knew it was a power surge. Everybody knew it was a power surge except for you." I was smart enough not to say, "Kevin, what's a power surge?" Because I knew he was already off his rocker on that one. He got us back on the air in about 15 seconds. But to this day, we will look at each other on occasion and go, "I knew it was a power surge. Doris knew it was a power surge," and we go from there. But it's funny now. It was not so funny back then.
Oh, man, no doubt about it. I watched Kevin Brooks go from having a carefree, wonderful time to being extremely concerned about our safety when we were in New Orleans covering the Super Bowl against the New England Patriots the night before. We enjoyed Beale Street, or not Beale Street, the French Quarter.
Yeah,
and
that's Beale Street.
That's Beale Street?
Yeah.
Okay. I was thinking that was Memphis for some reason.
Oh, yeah, you're right. It is.
The French Quarter, what is it in New Orleans, the famous street? Anyways, we were there. You know what I'm talking about. And they had, since it was Super Bowl weekend, they had these plastic footballs full of hurricanes, which hurricane is a
Nice.
fantastic drink. And I enjoyed quite a few of those. Kevin Brooks enjoyed quite a few of those. Chuck Odell was with us, and Chuck didn't drink, so he was a great designated driver. So, Kevin and I just kind of kicked a few back. On the way back, because our hotel room was in Baton Rouge, we stopped off at a McDonald's, and we're having a good time eating chicken sandwiches.
Oh, yeah.
And all of a sudden, one of the other patrons in the store lifts up his hoodie to show off the weapon that he has tucked into his sweatpants. And Kevin went from, laughing, having a good time to, "Hey, we got to get out of here. Let's go. Come
We've
on.
gotta
Let's go
go
now.
now."
We got to go now." And we're like, "What? What's going on, Kevin?" And then after we got out to the Jeep, he told us, the old J98 Jeep, he told us what was going on. And we got out of there.
Yes.
But,
Good move. Way to go,
yeah,
Kevin.
good
Lifesaver.
but
Hey.
lots of good Kevin Brooks stories over the years.
On a more serious note, though, we do want to send out our best to the family of Gary Busenbark. We lost him this past week way too soon. Gary, a heck of a good guy. Always, and I know you could say the same thing about this, always treated me with respect.
Absolutely.
Just a heck of a good guy, and our best going out to Todd and Chad and all his wife and all of the family. And also a fond farewell, and we miss you to Mark Kellogg, a longtime Farmington City councilman, and I know he's very active at St. Joe Catholic Church for many years. Two great guys that we lost way too soon.
Yeah, absolutely. And two people that got a lot out of their time here on earth. I mean,
Amen.
They did not waste it.
Mark was an anesthesiologist at the surgery center. He helped me when I had my cataract surgery.
Very, very good.
And he's from, I want to say, Montana or South Dakota or something like that. Great guy. Great guy. So both of you all, our thoughts and prayers and well wishes go to your family.
Yeah, and Gary, of course, started Booze and Bark
Yes.
Carpet and eventually expanded into trailer sales and granite and flooring, and almost all the kids work there with him. And Clara Jean, his wife, is over 50 years of marriage.
Over 60.
It's over 60, yeah, that's right. And it's just crazy because I saw the two of them walking across the field to church a couple Sundays ago. But yeah, you can't either one of those folks have done so much for our community, and we greatly appreciate it. And again, our sympathies go out to both their families. So we will have more coming up next here on the Parkland Podcast. Mark, Thanksgiving is over. Christmas is almost here, and maybe the first of the year might be a time for folks to think about a new profession. So no matter what you do, chances are there's a way for you to do it at Southeast Missouri Mental Health Center. Mark, one of the largest employers in our area.
They are. They have a ton of folks that work for there. A great career move for anyone. They do a program every year at the Southeast Missouri Mental Health Center where they seek the help from the public to buy gifts for their patients at the mental health center. Wow. And I am sure they would be willing to take your donations like they have in years past. So if you want to give them a call, I am sure they will tell you exactly what they need. Simple things like toiletries, stocking caps, gloves for their patients at the mental health center to help make their Christmas a better one as well.
Yeah, give them a call right now, 573-218-6800. And that's also where you can call if you're curious about maybe starting a new career with Southeast Missouri Mental Health Center. We talk about some of the other places that advertise with the Parkland Podcast, how they have good relations with the employees working there for long periods of time. Same is true about Southeast Missouri Mental Health Center. State of Missouri, an equal opportunity employer. We celebrate diversity and are committed to creating an inclusive environment for all employees. Oh, I love Subway, especially around the holidays when I've eaten all these very heavy foods and I've gained weight and I need to feel a little better about myself. Go to Subway in Farmington, Park Hills, Deloge, and enjoy the holidays with a fresh sub.
What's great about Subway is they have a lot of different options for you in terms of the sub sandwiches, but they also have soups, they have pizza, they've got little side dishes, some delicious cookies that you can take advantage of, and you have great customer service with Heather and Jessica and Brianna, just to name a few. We told Jake during his podcast interview they could write a book on great customer service.
They can, and they can also help you out for your holiday get-together. Subway can cater no matter how large or small the group. Just give Subway a call today and set that up. Again, Maple Valley Center, Farmington, Park Hills,
Try
downtown,
the cookies. Subway
in Deloge, Walmart, and coming soon, a new location to Farmington. Keep it tuned to the Parkland Podcast and always eat fresh. News time here on the Parkland Podcast. Here's your news stories for the week.
St. Francis County is mourning the loss of several community leaders, including longtime businessman Gary Busenbark, who passed away this past week at the age of 85. In addition, former Farmington City Councilman Mark Kellogg has passed away at the age of 69. Now, he's the second former Farmington City Council member to pass away in recent weeks. Former Councilman Bill Matthews also died in November at the age of 88. Matthews also served our country in the Korean and Vietnam conflicts.
Filing season is open for mayoral, boards of aldermen, and school boards for the upcoming April election. 3 cities in the Parkland have mayoral elections this year. In Farmington, incumbent Mayor Larry Forsythe has filed for re-election. He will face 2 challengers as former Farmington Mayor Mitt Landrum has filed, along with current alderman Chris Morrison. Also filing for the municipal election in April include Ward 2 alderperson Chris Follis and Ward 2 alderperson Monty Isgrigg. Jessica Layton also filing for that same position, and filing unopposed right now, Ward 3, Wayne Lennenbringer, and Ward 4, Vanessa Pegram. In the city of Deloge, Pete Pasternak has filed to run for re-election as the city mayor. The Ward 1 alderman position, currently held by John Wigger, has featured Keith Probst filing for that position. Kelly Harris is the Ward 2 alderman up for re-election. So far, just Rod Crabtree has filed for that position, and no one has filed yet to run for Ward 3, which is currently represented by Travis Cruz. In the city of Park Hills, Stacy Easter has filed for re-election as the city's mayor. A Ward 1 alderman race appears to be contested at this point, as Chris Smith and Alan Coleman have both filed for that position. Tom Abel, the only person filing for Ward 3. And in the city of Bonne Terre, they have a contested race brewing, possibly, as Bill Stegall has filed for Alderman 1. That's currently held by Ray Stotler. No one has filed yet for Alderman 3. That position is currently held by Ryan McClure.
Filing will continue through the month of December, and the United Way of St. Francis County has received a very nice donation from the employees at Parkland Health Center with locations in Farmington and Bonne Terre. The United Way was presented a check of over $10,000 this past Friday to help fund the non-for-profit agencies that they support. In addition, Executive Director Suzanne Baker has also announced that bell ringing totals as of the end of last week have now surpassed $17,000, with bell ringing continuing for the next week and a half.
And that's your latest news right here on the Parkland Podcast. Time to check the events page. That's brought to you by Discover Farmington, more than you ever imagined. You can discover farmingtonmo.gov, where you can find out about entertainment, dining, outdoor activities, wineries, and more, all at your fingertips.
Farmington, Missouri, your destination for a perfect weekend getaway. Dine in at one of our quality restaurants or visit one of our surrounding wineries. Farmington offers a variety of parks and other recreational leisure time activities. See some sights, have some fun, and go wherever your heart takes you. Sounds like a lot of fun, so get a room and stay a while. All this and more awaits you just 60 miles south of St. Louis. Discover Farmington today.
Winter Wonderland in Farmington still open weekdays 6 to 8 p.m., Saturdays from 1 to 3, closed on Sundays. The final day is December 23rd.
Christmas in Lights is open nightly through December 26th. They're located just north of Bonne Terre.
Snowman Lane open Friday through Sunday on Strawn Road, east of Farmington.
Columbia Park and Elvins Park in Park Hills and Deloge Park have free drive-through lights now through New Year's.
There's Breakfast with Santa at Long Hall in Farmington on December 21st, starting at 9 o'clock.
The Mineral Area Gospel Sound Christmas Concert will happen December 22nd, 6 p.m. at the Bismarck Assembly of God.
The United Way of St. Francis County continues to look for bell ringers. If you'd like to ring the bell, you can go to the United Way of St. Francis County website or contact Suzanne Baker, the executive director.
A New Year's Day benefit workout for Eloise will happen at Good Vibes Fit Factory in Bonne Terre. That'll be on New Year's Day starting at 10 a.m.
And the St. Francis State Park First Day Hike, January 1st. Swimming Deer Trail, and I think there's also additional hikes at not Pickle Springs, but Hawn State Park and a few of the other area state parks as well.
Are you going to be participating in one of those?
I did it once, and I don't know that I'll do it again because so many people, especially if it's a good day, show up. You walk so slow.
Yeah.
And when I hike, I like to hike.
You like to get after it.
Yes.
Mark
yes,
Tody
so.
always gets after it, especially when it comes to the events page, which is presented by Discover Farmington. Find out about local events, even book a wedding or day trip. DiscoverFarmingtonMo.com brings you the events page. Ain't no party like a Parkland Pharmacy Christmas party, because a Parkland Pharmacy Christmas party don't stop. Boy, that just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it, Mark Tody?
They know how to have fun at Parkland Pharmacy. I've got to give the folks at Parkland Pharmacy a shout out because I've got my flu shot there and I got my latest COVID vaccination from the folks at Parkland Pharmacy. Didn't hurt a bit.
Never does. Never does. I had the honor of going to a couple of Parkland Pharmacy Christmas parties, and they take such good care of their employees. And I know we talk about it all the time, but I mean, I've seen it firsthand because you have these people that come to work every day for you, and they are always in a better mood because they know they're appreciated at Parkland Pharmacy, and that just, eventually comes down to you, the customer. So totally worth it to go there.
You can put a price tag on medication. You can put a price tag on medicine. You can put a price tag on a lot of things. Can't put a price tag on great customer service.
Parkland Pharmacy wants to wish all their employees and customers the happiest of holidays. Parkland Pharmacy in Deloge, Farmington, Fredericktown, Ironton, Piedmont, and Greenville, and they sponsor the Parkland podcast. Let's talk Save-A-Lot of the Parkland. If you are putting together a Christmas dinner, Save-A-Lot is the best place to go. I know, Mark, about 95% of what I served for Thanksgiving came from Save-A-Lot. I had an amazing Oreo dirt cake that I made.
Oh.
I have to make 2 of them for Christmas because I made one on Thanksgiving. Half of it got eaten at one spot, the other half at the other. And I know that I can not only afford to get that Oreo dirt cake, but some other great items too, because I shop the dot at Save-A-Lot.
I'll tell you what, the thing I like about Save-A-Lot is it's one-stop shopping.
Mm-hmm.
You need produce, they've
Yeah.
got it. You need milk, they've got it. You need meats, they've got it. You need dinner rolls, and trust me, you need dinner rolls if you're going to a Christmas party and you can't
Yes.
cook. They're going to say, oh, you can bring rolls. And they've got a ton of those at Save-A-Lot. Love the customer service at Save-A-Lot. Love the selection. Love the pricing.
Love the holiday custard from Prairie Farms. Only place I've found it locally is your local Save-A-Lot store. And boy, that makes some yummy Christmassy drinks.
Clint, you're a good man, and thank you for all you do in the community as well. And Chastity, it's great to work with you as well.
So when you're ready for your holiday meals, shop the dot. Shop Save-A-Lot of the Parkland in Bonne Terre, DeSoto, Potosi, Park Hills, and Farmington. Let's do birthdays and anniversaries on the Parkland podcast. Mark Totally, who are you wishing a happy birthday to on Monday, December 16th?
Monday, I am wishing a happy birthday to a friend of the podcast and one of my favorite people in Farmington, Missouri, Nancy Sylvie, the owner of Pasta House in Farmington. Nancy, you are
First
wonderful.
class.
You are awesome. You are tremendous. You are fantastic. And those are your bad points. We say happy birthday to you. That's from your husband, your kids, and everybody that loves you. And that's a whole lot of people. Happy birthday wishes going out to Cassidy Herbst, one of the many Herbsts around the area. Cassidy, hope you have a great day. My buddy Bill Hahn celebrates a birthday on Monday. Bill, I just saw you this past Friday at Spokes Pub and Grill. Happy birthday to you. By the way, a big shout out to Chris at Spokes Pub and Grill. I went and got a meal to go on Friday. He gave me a free piece of cheesecake. You're the man.
Merry
You're
Christmas
the man.
to you.
And Danielle Luttrell. She was a really good basketball player at Farmington back in the 90s.
Yeah, okay, I remember her.
Yeah, happy birthday wishes to you from all your family.
I just got one, but it's a good one. Happy birthday, Steve Mabry. He lives in Kevin Engler's old house in Farmington, longtime Booze and Bark employee. And last year, Steve had a little work done on the old kidneys, and he's had to change around some lifestyle things, and he's doing great with that and doing awesome. Still sucks at fantasy football, which, hey, it happens to the best of us, buddy. I was right there with you this year. But happy birthday, Steve, and hope it's a great one to you. That's, of course, from Jody and the kids and your mom and everybody. So happy birthday, Steve. How about Tuesday, December 17th?
Tuesday, great friend, a couple of great friends of the podcast, several, in fact. Kristen Johnson celebrates a birthday on Tuesday.
One of the Kristen Johnsons.
Yes, this is the Jake Johnson wife, Kristen Johnson, and she actually sometimes she gets mistaken because she's so youthful looking, or maybe because Jake's got a little more gray. She kind of gets confused for being Jake's daughter on occasion.
It happens.
But Kristen, happy birthday. I know you're gearing up for a big day at the end of the year on the 31st when your twins, Madison and Reed, celebrate their birthday. But today, Tuesday, is all about you, young lady. So happy birthday wishes to you. Speaking of friends of the podcast, John Robinson, longtime automobile dealer in the area. Happy birthday wishes to you, John. I am sure Shauna has a very long honeydew list for you that you're working on as we speak.
Even though it's
Speaking
your
of
birthday.
friends of the podcast,
Yeah.
Steve Warren.
Yeah, Steve.
Married to Ursula. And Steve just retired not too long ago from Parkland Health Center in Farmington. Now he's over at the senior center doing, well, whatever it is that Ursula tells him to do. And last but not least, Sally Shen celebrates a birthday, married to Greg Shen. Sally, I've known her forever and a day, and she is such a nice person. Sally, happy birthday wishes to you from all your family.
What about Wednesday, December 18th?
Wednesday, Ashley Bischoff celebrates a birthday. Ashley, back in the day before she got married, ran for Country Days Queen in Farmington, and she is just such a nice girl. Then she went to work for the city of Farmington, and that's where I really got to know her. I would see her at city council meetings and other things like that. Now she's working for East Missouri Action Agency. So happy birthday to you, Ashley. She seriously is one of the nicest people you will ever meet. Patty Johnston, married to my buddy Rob. I went to high school with Rob and Patty. Patty has aged much, much better than I have or Rob has, and Rob would be the first to agree with that. Patty, happy birthday wishes to you from your family. And Abby Hancock, happy birthday to you from your brother, your mom and dad, and all your family.
Happy birthday on Wednesday to one of my old former roommates, Kenny Barber, with a birthday. Kenny was an extra. I'm trying to think what movie it was. It was a Christian Bale movie. He was an extra in. Kenny from Fredericktown. Great dude. Happy birthday to you, buddy. Want to also shout out a couple of my former students, Mr. Rico Marler.
What a cool name.
I know, right? Rico was definitely one of a kind. Happy birthday to you, buddy. I hope your knees are doing well. And Connor French, he was lucky enough to be in my very first class at Unitech, so he got the absolute worst of Jason Lowry as a teacher and still turned out okay. Happy birthday to Connor. And Amy Cowling, happy birthday, Amy. Amy, counselor, I believe, in the West County School District. So happy birthday to you, Amy. I have no birthdays for Thursday, December 19th. It is all on you, sir.
I have three dandies here. Cindy Rourke celebrates a birthday on Thursday. That's from your husband, Mike, and your son and your twin girls, Cindy, I hope, and your grandkids. Happy birthday to you. I hope you have an absolute fantastic day. She helps out with Help the Hungry. We do bingo at the Farmington Presbyterian Manor with a whole group of people once a month as well. Happy birthday to Debbie Dietrich from all of your family. Her husband can sure sing. I can tell you that much for sure. And Rachel Nash. Rachel, happy birthday to you. She used to work at an employment agency, and I would have to interview her when we did like the business spotlights. And then she moved off to First State Community Bank. I haven't seen her in a while. Rachel, I hope you're doing great, and I want to wish you a happy birthday.
Let's go ahead and move up to Friday, December the 20th.
Friday, my buddy Bob Thurman. Bob knows the meaning of the word no. He just refuses to say it. He goes to St. Paul Lutheran Church, and he's on every committee ever formed. He showed me a picture of himself from about 35, 40 years ago when he was a high school football player over at Central. It was a big dude.
Yeah.
I just call him Mr. Thurman after seeing that. Bob, you're a good guy. Happy birthday to you. Eric Shelton works over at Mineral Area College, celebrating a birthday Friday. He was the guy, my world-famous chair, which we still have to go out and record an interview next to at St. Joe State Park. It went missing for a while. Eric found it. It was in the middle of the woods down a hill somewhere, and he brought it back up and set it back to where it needed to be. And so I owe you for that. Eric, happy birthday to you. And Tracy Collins, I got to know her back in the day. She owned a store in Festus called Sweetie Pies, and she made some really good
pies,
but not just pies, but also cupcakes and things like that.
Okay.
She would bring them to the radio station, and one of them was a cupcake with a hot wing on top of it.
Oh.
It was great.
Oh.
Tracy, I hope you're, she married a guy named Tom Collins, so you can insert your own drinking joke there.
Yes.
So That's what I have for Friday, and I have nothing for Saturday. But I know
Okay.
you've got the list right there.
I got a bunch, but on Friday, real quick, want to wish a happy birthday to Holly Segura. She used to be the theater director at Potosi High School, and then she got a really good opportunity to be the middle school theater director at Branson. So
Cool.
like she's dealing with all the performers' kids and doing a great job there. Happy birthday, Holly. Hope it's an awesome day for you. And then Saturday, December 21st, want to wish a happy birthday to former Bonne Terre Chamber of Commerce Executive Director Nancy Dill, celebrating a birthday. Happy birthday to you, Nancy. Jake Barton, Farmington teacher and assistant football coach, with a birthday on Saturday. Happy birthday, Jake. Sue Renshaw. I loved working with Sue at Unitech when she was the secretary, was there for many, many years. Happy birthday, Sue. Hope retirement is treating you well. Former Unitech student, now KFMO employee, Mr. Braden Cooley. Braden, one of the coolest of the students that I've ever had, and doing great working there at KFMO. I think he also works at Pizza 101, too, in Bonne Terre, so he's one of those dual job guys. But Braden always was a great student in class. And current student, a junior at Farmington High School in BKTV, Mr. Marcus Birch, with a birthday on Saturday. You would love Marcus's hair. It is very curly, and it's about this big.
That's what mine used to look like.
Yeah. So
Not so much anymore.
There you go. That's what you got to look forward to,
Yeah,
Marcus.
buddy.
Then Sunday, December 22nd. Whose birthdays do you have there?
Well, he's sort of my neighbor. He lives like 1.5 streets up and to the left. Steve Summers,
Yeah.
longtime banker in the area, celebrating a birthday on Sunday. Steve, hope you have a great day. And Jay Graff, celebrating a birthday as well. Jay, I hope you are doing fantastic. I hope you have a wonderful birthday.
Do you remember the awful ice storm that we had? Or no, not ice storm. I'm sorry. It was a hailstorm, and the hailstones were super big, and basically the storm went from Park
destroyed
Hills
my
to
car.
Farmington. Yeah. Steve Summers was working at KFMO at the time, and I'll never forget, I was on the air trying to, do weather reports and everything, and he came running up the stairs at KFMO with one of the balls of hail in his hand to show me how big it was. And I was like, oh, my God.
Yeah, that was a heck of a storm.
And it just basically, it was weird. It came like out Highway 8 and then went up 67, almost like it was driving, and just rolled right down Karsh Boulevard and got so many people. A Street around that area, man, it was horrible.
Yep, it sure was.
Anyways, so those are your birthdays and your weather here on...
What about Megan?
Oh, Megan Summers, yes. Happy birthday, Megan. Used to work with Megan at the Unitech Career Center. Happy birthday to Megan. Good job, Mark.
Good save, Megan.
Yes, there you go, Megan. Happy birthday to you. I know the folks at Heimberger Construction want to wish their employees the best this holiday season. They want to wish their former customers, their current customers, and their future customers the best this holiday season. Heimberger Construction cares about the work they do, and they care about the people that they do it with and they do it for.
And we talk all the time about all the different buildings they're involved in, but let's talk community involvement. They were a huge sponsor of Festival of Trees for Casa of the Parkland. They help out in the past with a number of different things like United Way of St. Francis County, St. Paul Lutheran School, the big John Thomas benefit. They have been a big supporter of the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. Jennifer knows that her company has been very successful because of the quality work they do, but she likes to give back to the community as well. She understands that she's been blessed, and she wants to help people out whenever she can.
They were also a big sponsor for Help the Hungry Bake Sale as well.
Absolutely,
Saw them on the banner.
absolutely.
So Heimberger Construction, and what really sets them apart is the work they do with Butler Buildings. They are the best metal building system on the market, and the only buildings that have a pre-punched roof system and standard 360-degree roof seam for their standing seam roof. You keep things nice and dry up top with those Butler buildings, and that just makes the project not only look better, but last longer. And that's what you get at Heimberger Construction. Happy holidays to you from them, 431-4387, HeimbergerConstruction.com. Discover Farmington helps us bring you events every week here on the Parkland Podcast. They are the sponsor of the events page, and we go to their website all the time to make sure we're promoting what's happening around the area. DiscoverFarmingtonMo.gov, all kinds of cool stuff. Mark, I've been taking my kids to Winter Wonderland since they've been old enough to hold their heads up. It is such a neat family tradition for our family. And what a great thing that Discover Farmington and the city of Farmington do every year.
Even if you don't have kids or your kids are all grown up and moved away, go to Winter Wonderland and just watch the magic of Christmas come alive, because that's exactly what it does. The amount of detail they put into Winter Wonderland is, in a word, amazing. I know that they're very excited. They had an ice carving demonstration this past weekend that went over really well.
And reindeer.
They brought in reindeer, and they're having carriage rides. Mm-hmm. They really do a lot to make Farmington and the surrounding area a destination point.
Winter Wonderland open weekdays 6 to 8 p.m., Saturdays from 1 to 3, and they're open all the way through December 23rd. You can find out about that. You can find out about other Christmassy themed activities and even events happening after Christmas at DiscoverFarmingtonMo.gov. Discover Farmington, proud sponsor of the Parkland Podcast. In sports, Mineral Area College expanded their Hall of Fame Saturday afternoon during the St. Francis County Rotary Shootout. And that included former MAC basketball player and Hoop Dreams documentary star Arthur Agee. The 2019 men's cross-country team was also inducted, and Roy Hinson received the Eileen Sechrist Lifetime Contribution to Athletics Award. Now to the action on the court. The women improved to 13-2 going into the holiday break, a 67-48 win over Dyersburg State. The men fall to 10-4 on the season. They lose to Jones College 62-43. Boys basketball finals from the shootout. North County defeats Kingston 56-54. And girls action, Central defeats St. Pius 61-27. Steelville outlasts West County as we flip back to the boys' side, 57-55, that game in overtime. And the South Iron Panthers defeat St. Pius 58-43. Farmington Knights a 71-34 win over Saxony Lutheran. And in the seventh place game of the Gene Steichhorst tournament, Fox defeats Central 76-75 in overtime. And then some finals from Friday night in girls basketball. The black and red classic at Herculaneum goes to the Farmington Knights, a 46-41 win over Lutheran South. North County wins the third-place game over DeSoto, 60-42. Other finals on the boys' side from Friday night. St. Genevieve 80, Valley Catholic 61 as the Dragons win the Old Settlement match. Jefferson beats Arcadia Valley 64-49. Fredericktown, nice win over Perryville, 71-54. Potosi defeats St. Clair 75-33. And Ellington defeats St. Paul 80-45. Boys wrestling action, the Farmington Invitational. Jackson wins that one. Farmington comes in second. The Parkway West Invitational sees the North County Raiders finish second, and the St. Genevieve Dragons finish second in the Union Tournament. And in girls wrestling, Rolla Tournament sees the Central Lady Rebels finish in fifth place there. St. Joseph's Boys Basketball finals for you. The B-Boys' undefeated season continues. They defeated St. Agnes and St. Rose over the weekend, and the A-Boys team went 1-for-1 over the weekend, losing to Valley and defeating St. Agnes. And, of course, Lucy went 2-for-2 in the Nutcracker as a soldier and an angel. That is your sports on the Parkland Podcast. Boozenbark Carpet, Boozenbark Trailer Sales, Highway 67 between Park Hills and Farmington. Some people call it the Fairgrounds exit. I call it the Boozenbark exit because that's where you get off the highway to go see the fine folks, Brock and everybody at Boozenbark. Been at it for such a long time, and there are so many long-tenured employees that work for Booz & Bark.
And they sell everywhere. Oh my gosh, they are a great part of St. Francis County, but they have customers 100 miles plus in any direction.
Yeah, I know they do a lot in the Columbia area as well.
Yes. And don't forget about their trailers too. If you're in the mood for a trailer. But you're getting the Booz & Bark name, and they've been doing this for decades now. So you're dealing with one of the premier flooring companies in the area.
Two things I've never heard anybody say they regret doing. That's upgrading your flooring in your home or getting a trailer. I've never heard anybody say they regret either one of those purchases.
And they've got a lot to choose from. If selection is the name of the game with you, the Booz & Barks are the folks you need to go see.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year from everybody at Booz & Bark Carpet and Trailer Sales, Highway 67 between Park Hills and Farmington.
And look for our pictures on their billboard.
I know the folks at Heimberger Construction want to wish their employees the best this holiday season. They want to wish their former customers, their current customers, and their future customers the best this holiday season. Heimberger Construction cares about the work they do, and they care about the people that they do it with and they do it for.
And we talk all the time about all the different buildings they're involved in, but let's talk community involvement. They were a huge sponsor of Festival of Trees for Casa of the Parkland. They help out in the past with a number of different things like United Way of St. Francis County, St. Paul Lutheran School, the big John Thomas benefit. They have been a big supporter of the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. Jennifer knows that her company has been very successful because of the quality work they do, but she likes to give back to the community as well. She understands that she's been blessed, and she wants to help people out whenever she can.
They were also a big sponsor for Help the Hungry Bake Sale as well.
Absolutely.
So Heimberger Construction, and what really sets them apart is the work they do with Butler Buildings. They are the best metal building system on the market and the only buildings that have a pre-punched roof system and standard 360-degree roof seam for their standing seam roof. You keep things nice and dry up top with those Butler Buildings, and that just makes the project not only look better, but last longer. And that's what you get at Heimberger Construction. Happy holidays to you from them, 431-4387, HeimbergerConstruction.com.
They said it couldn't be done. They said the world would never accept a cookie this long, or pretzel, and probably not a churro. They also said, under no circumstances should those really long and delicious treats be wildly affordable. Then we said, but we already made them, and they are. Introducing the incredible new foot-long sidekicks. Get one at Subway today.
We are pleased to be joined on the Parkland podcast by the Petterson boys. We have Chip joining us in studio and Parks here in the Bourne. Gentlemen, thanks so much for being on the Parkland podcast. Appreciate it.
Good morning.
Thanks for having us
here.
Absolutely.
Good to have you here. We're just a few days away from Christmas. That can only mean one thing. Your traditional CC's Christmas dinner is coming up.
Christmas dinner. It's right around the corner, right?
Golly, this is how many years now?
23, I think.
23 years. Now, Debbie
You were 12, I think, when we started this.
Yes, that's the ticket. I had hair when this started. That's a long time ago.
Yeah, so did a lot of people in town. But I'm not going to name them all.
Your wife could not be here because she's watching grandkids
That's
today.
right.
But
They always come first.
This really kind of started with her, didn't it?
Absolutely. It really spawned out of having a Jesus birthday party every year. And as the kids got older, and it kind of evolved into what can we do to keep the kids involved in the meaning of Christmas. And anyway, we had opened CC's that year, and we thought, wow, what a great facility. It's close Christmas anyway. Why couldn't we do some kind of dinner? And once we got over the obstacles of how do we cook turkey in a 4-inch oven, which took a few years to master that with a lot of help of a lot of people. But anyway, it just evolved into what it is. You know, we got to where we were doing, before COVID, we were 900, I think, plus. And close to that, we COVID caused caused us to go into the drive-through mode.
Yeah.
And that's actually worked a little bit better as far as being able to feed people quick, and if the weather's bad, and it's a little safer as far as colds and things that time of the season. So that's where we've stayed, but it works great.
How did this idea come about? Like, how did it all get started?
Well, I don't know. You were what, 3? No. Debbie's always had a passion for taking care of people.
Right.
Yeah.
Again, we always had the Christmas Jesus parties at our house. We'd have the birthday cake. Because it just seemed like when we moved back, we were always so busy. There was always functions and parties and whatever. And it seems like the kids were never involved. So we thought, well, let's have a Christmas party where everybody can bring their kids to the house. And we had the nativity scene on a birthday cake and really tried to get a little more focused on the real meaning of Christmas. And it kind of evolved from that. And then it got to be when we started having at the season a Christmas dinner that it was something kids would never miss, especially when they went away to college. And a lot of the kids that came back would participate. And through the years, and Mark, you've been there forever. The families that have been involved, and some have been involved all the way through. Some kind of come and go, and when the kids come back. And then the nice thing of it is, if you don't have anything else going on Christmas Day, it's a great place to come and be a part of and participate and reach out and serve and do things for others. And that's what it's really become, a community service event.
Your kids were just kids when this started. Now their kids are there. Parks. What's that been like for you?
It's awesome, especially with the 2 boys and a little girl on the way. I get excited with Parker bringing him in, now our 2.5-year-old, because he can just see the excitement already and see see it with his cousins, his older cousins, and they know about it and tell him about it. And something I look forward to. These something like us as kids, we looked forward to every Christmas. Most time kids are all they're thinking about is getting their presents and doing all that. And we were taught at young ages, it's more than just giving presents. It's giving back to the community. It's seeing that camaraderie. And the one bad thing I would say about, the COVID did make it a little easier closing in, but the one thing I do miss is, it used to be, it was packed in there and you couldn't move, but the people sing, we just have random people just start singing on top of the tables, and which sometimes is a safety issue a little bit, but
always great stories.
Yeah.
There was always a handful of really unique stories that would come out. A family that was traveling across the country and whatever had happened, they ran out of fuel, they had nowhere to eat. Because Christmas Day is not an easy easy day to stop and grab something to eat if you got a family in the car traveling. And people that needed coats, people did this, people stepped up and gave gift certificates to give out to people. Yep. Just all these stories through the years. And I won't get into names, but there's so many people in the community that played a role in that. And you know who you are, and I thank you every year, and I want to continue to thank you, because this event could not have happened without people stepping up and donating hams and turkeys and desserts and their time and all that's involved in that.
Do you have room for more volunteers, more donations for this year?
Yeah, there's always, and if you do want to volunteer, and make sure I do this right or I'll really be in trouble. The number to call is 573-760-0077, and that's Debbie's direct number, so she'll coordinate all that. And we always, it's always interesting. You wonder, one day we're going to show up and there'll be nobody to help, or we're going to have 19 busloads of people lined up, and that's always the hard part. So many people do because everybody wants to be a part of, and she and then Cindy helps, and they all kind of coordinate where everybody goes, and you can't take Mark's spot because he's had it forever. It kind of goes from there. Turkeys, we're going to be in pretty good shape on turkeys. We can always use more hams. And then, of course, the desserts, if anybody wants to prepare, pies, cakes, anything like that. But it always seems to work out in that regard. Mark, can you think of anything else on that while we're talking to make sure we cover everything so neither one of us get in trouble?
Well, one thing for sure, if you don't think that Debbie takes this seriously, I have a picture somewhere. I just have to find it. Like year 1 or year 2. I walk out the back to take something out to the dumpster. There is your wife in the dumpster smashing down the trash with her feet. I'm like, holy smokes, Debbie. I thought I was the one that was supposed to be talking trash here. And here you are in the dumpster making room for more stuff. This is something really serious for her. But I do have a question for you, Chip. Since we did go through the drive-through instead of having people come in, does it make it easier for you and Debbie to hide the desserts you guys want to keep?
That's funny. The first year we were just amazed at all these great desserts, and of course we just run, she and I, like crazy, and we finally kind of got to the end, and we thought, let's sit down and grab something to eat, and we went over and the desserts were all gone. Like, okay, that's never happening again. So the next year, there was pumpkin pie, and I thought, I'm not missing out on pumpkin pie, and then Chris, I think, brought in a angel food cake or something, so I grabbed one of each, and I reached up to hide it on top of one of the vending games, and I noticed there was something else hid up there. Debbie and I found the same hiding place.
Nice.
I hope that's not immoral, but I thought, I've got to have a good dessert out of this
you gotta
thing.
have something.
Sure.
I wanted to ask you about the history of Maple Valley. People my age and younger, it's like, it's just always been there. Kind of talk about that, how that all came about, and how it became, what it is today.
It's going to take a lot more than 15 minutes to cover that.
That's okay. Mitt can wait in the car.
And let me do one more thing again, so I've got a wife waiting for me when I get home. 2 to 4 on Christmas Day. Okay. Theoretically, it's 2 to 4.
Yeah.
Generally, if we're all ready, which we are, we open up a little bit early.
Because people are already waiting.
That's right. There's usually a huge line, and that was the other thing about the drive-through, coordinating all that, and Les and those guys do such a great job. But theoretically, 2, get in line early, and if we're ready to go, we start serving early, and then we say 4 on the tail end. Just depends on when people quit coming in, pretty much.
The neat thing is, and I've got some pictures somewhere about this too, the line will stretch from Cece's Pizza back around behind J.C. Penney.
Oh, wow.
And that's a great thing, is that facility works so well, because basically the whole facility is, we sold Cece's a couple of years ago, and Brad Fowler's been great about, we want to continue to do that and continue, so he lets us use the facility, and he participates with some of the products.
His
and
family,
his
too, all
his
comes
whole
down from
family
St.
comes
Louis.
down, so it's really nice. So that'll continue on, hopefully, once we're gone.
And I know Debbie always likes to reiterate, and I know you do too, it's not just for people who are homeless, it's for everybody.
No, it's a community Christmas dinner. That's right, and everybody's life changes every year. The kids are all gone. You're going to be home alone. You've lost a spouse. You just have nowhere else to go for dinner, or you want to come in and serve. It's just everybody has a different role and a different function every year for being a part of that dinner. And again, it's a community dinner. It's not something that Pettersons do. The entire community.
I remember couples coming in saying, "Hey, we have Christmas dinner. Our family left, though. We just don't have anything to do tonight. We just want to be around and be around people, and it's Christmas, and it's."
Oh, wait a minute. We hit the honey hole here.
Uh-oh.
Oh, Debbie's here.
Hey, you're on speakerphone on the blog.
Who's the blog?
Podcast.
You're on
The podcast.
You're on the podcast. We're recording as we speak, Debbie.
Yeah, that's what old men call them.
Oh my gosh.
Do you have anything you want to say about the Christmas dinner? Then we've got to get some serious business done.
Nope, I just want to thank everybody in the community for making it so successful.
There we go.
Wow.
Right from the top.
Bring home a winner, Debbie.
All right.
All right, love you.
Guys.
Bye. All right, to get to your answer, and you've got to talk about opioids today, too. But in a nutshell, I was with Pepsi some 30 whatever years ago in Springfield, and Joe and I don't even remember, I think Joe had called me, or somehow we had kind of got to know each other. We never knew each other before that, Joe Burgess. And long story short, we started talking about, there's an opportunity maybe in Farmington. There's really nothing in the county as far as any centralized shopping, and so everybody was leaving the county basically to go up to shop up north and whatever. So I don't want to get into all the details, but we came up with an idea that we could build a ballpark. There was a piece of land the city owned out about where Chick-fil-A and Schnucks is now, 16 acres, kind of a weird spot, that the city owned to build a ballpark on, but for various reasons it could never be done. And it was just sitting there. So we thought if we built a ballpark where the now existing ballpark, the complex out on the east side of town, that we'd do a land swap. And Roger Hayne was the city administrator there, and I forget which mayor. I think I went through 10 mayors through several last years. But anyway, make a long story short, we got this project put together. Joe and I built the ballpark, acquired the land from the old airport, did this land swap. In the middle of all that, 2 or 3 other shell games kind of came out with a guy out of Jeff City trying to make a play down here. And so we were able to put together 3 different tracks. And that's when Walmart had purchased by then, was starting development of the Walmart store. And our idea was basically originally just do the 13 acres. And then to protect that, we had to do the other piece. And then we had to get the intersection or it wouldn't work, because Walmart was kind of blocking it. And if you want an interesting story that'll take a whole lot more than 15 minutes sometime, I'll tell you. But that's just kind of the way it came to be. And I was still in Springfield driving back and forth. We hadn't moved here yet. And I told Joe, I said, I think this thing's going to happen as we started to put it together. I said, but it's got to have a name or it's going to be next to Walmart.
Yeah.
It has to have a name. And we were at that. We moved 400,000 cubic yards of dirt to do that. If you don't remember kind of what all that looked like. But I said, it's got to have a name, Joe. And at that point, I think there were 5 trees on that whole property. There was a great big elm that everybody thought was a maple down about where pasta house was. It was 12 foot in the air. And anyway, I called him and said, hey, let's call it Maple Valley. I think that'll work. I'll put a logo together. I was working for an advertising firm at that point, and kind of put a brochure together and some things, and we started playing around and actually drew the whole thing out before we ever put it in Frank Taylor's hands, and it pretty much stayed in place, how the thing came to be. So then the next thing we did was went out into Fox Nursery and said, we're going to need about 300 maple trees. Every kind of maple tree that God makes. So we did. We had Norwegian and silver and maple and red and sunset and every crimson, you name it. And that's kind of where that came from.
So I remember our radio station doing an outdoor show in the early 90s from there. And I think maybe was JCPenney the original anchor store, or Sears, or what was it?
JCPenney was an important factor. It was again, pretty complex story, but it was a big domino game, because at that point Walmart fought us. They wouldn't let us have the excess over to the east because they wanted to put pennies in the old building, which now is, where C Senor and all that is over the old Walmart building. So they were playing hard on that deal, and Penny's. It came down to Penny signing a contract one night, which is a funny story, but everything pinned it off everything else. For Penny's to do it, we had to have the intersection across the road. Sears wouldn't sign unless Penny signed. A lot of the restaurant deals wouldn't happen unless Penny signed, and we got an intersection north and south, and it was this great big game. And it came down to if Penny's didn't sign that next morning at 8 o'clock, the whole thing fell apart. I mean, we had a lot of money borrowed, a lot of things on it, and needless to say, I wasn't going to sleep. And Gary Grix, the doctor, lived behind me, and I thought, if I'm not going to sleep, I'm getting something done. So I went out in the backyard and started digging holes because I was going to build a big playground for the kids. We lived in Holiday Park, so I'm out digging holes in the dark with a flashlight and putting concrete. And Gary just happened to get up. He used a lot of times in the middle of the night play the piano, and he looked out and he ran and got his wife Carol up and said, I think he's killed his wife. He was dead serious asking that.
I see Gary every now and then. I will.
That's a nutshell, but sometimes you really want to talk about it. There's a lot of interesting things that happen.
Well, and we need to get you back on to talk about just the whole economic development process. But before we get to parks, just real quick, 30 some odd years ago, did you think Maple Valley would be today what it's become?
I hoped. I go back and look at drawings I did on it early on, and it really came out close. It's pretty optimistic. When I came back down, we did a presentation. I called all the bankers, which I didn't really know at that point, besides Jack Sebastian. And then it was Jim Eaton and, of course, Steve and all the bank presidents in town got in a room. And I did a little bit of demographics. And I said, what do you guys think in the 35-mile ring of Farmington, what the population is? And nobody ever thought of the county like that. The blue law was in place. Everybody went up north to shop on Sundays. Nobody ever really thought about the county as what can we do to keep people here and have a center core and grow the community retail-wise. And the largest guess at that point was Jack Sebastian. He guessed 50,000 people. And it was 240,000 in a 30-mile ring or something.
Amazing.
Yeah, but nobody really thought about it that way, and it was such an opportunity. But it took a good piece of property, big enough to do it, with good access, good infrastructure. And Farmington was so great about working with us all those years because Joe and I took a lot of risk, but the city understood it, and they were there and worked with us. And any commitment we ever made, we always came through for them. We just both felt like all we had was our name. So that's the way that went. So.
Well, let's go from economic development to opioids. And that's where Parks comes in.
Well, and also talking about the growth in Maple Valley, I obviously love that in my position as a treasurer. Love seeing the sales tax continue to, we're going to see it with Chick-fil-A coming in, a few of these other stores. So, as Maple Valley continues to grow, that's great for this entire county because that's just more, more tax money that we can do some great things. I was going to tell a story with Mitt. My favorite thing is when we were actually, I don't know how many people can say they drove horses through the drive-thru of Jack in the Box. Because Jack in the Box and Steak and Shake were the first two pieces, and we actually rode horse. I guess not driving. We rode horses through the drive-thru of Jack in the Box. That kind of fits Farmington, Missouri, doesn't it?
Yes, it did.
We've got our unique character.
Yes, we do. With the opioid, I think most people are familiar, at least with this opioid, the lawsuits, the disbursements, everything else coming out. It's obviously a very unfortunate situation. Why this is happening? Of years of things that have just gone wrong, and you're seeing a lot of families and people in this community have been affected by it. But the counties throughout the state and the country have been awarded money that we're able to put back. We have guidelines that have to be used. We can't just go spend it on anything we want. It has to go back into our communities to help, hopefully help prevent and recovery of this opioid crisis. So the first round we did in July, I know was reported, we did just under 200,000. And then we actually had, so every year we'll do that once a year. Funding would start in July. But we actually had out of nowhere, because as these lawsuits happen, there's more lawsuits coming in every year. So we had this huge surplus of money come in. So we had about 900,000 come in this year, I think it was August. So we decided, okay, we can't sit on that money. We need to open up a new round, and which we did. And the first round, we actually only had 2 organizations apply and receive the money. We actually had 10 this time, which I was really excited about.
Fantastic.
We our board, we have an awesome board. It's not county officials. We wanted to be careful there. It's actually people out that that are involved, BJC, Parkland, and people that are actually seeing this problem out there. And they actually recommended we approved up to 680,000, and we actually funded just under 657,000 this month. So and again, this is going to some really good organizations in our community, and it's hopefully they're going to make a difference and be able to hopefully help these families heal a little bit. I know it can't help the families directly, but I know a lot of families it's not that they want something for themselves. They just want to see this problem get fixed in our country. I mean, it's a horrible problem. So it's a horrible situation to deal with, but it's awesome that we're able to be able to grant this money out in our community and hopefully see impacts.
And I guess on top of that, we moved back. Debbie and I made a constant effort after coming back for Christmas. One of the Christmas parades one day, Norman Rockwell night and all the snow and all, and we looked at each other. We're getting ready to have Parks with 2 other babies in our hands, and we said, we've got to do something to move back here. So we left career and came back and started that development the whole bit because we wanted to be here. We wanted to raise our kids here. We were both from here. And now we look, and our kids have all gone away and all moved back. Harry and Parks and Caitlin and their spouses have brought their families, and they're big parts of the community. And, it's a wonderful community. And I say that all the time, and it's a place we chose to be and we want to be, and I'll die here hopefully a long time from now. But we want to be a part of this, and I hope everybody understands what a wonderful community this is. Besides the quality of people we've got and the natural resources we've got and the infrastructure we've got and the city leaderships and county leaderships. But this drug thing's our biggest what term would you use? I guess nightmare that's out there. And it affects everybody. I lost a brother 10 years ago, had an overdose and lost him to fentanyl. It affects every family. It affects everybody out there. And it's something we've got to, as a community, get a hold of it. And it's going to take everybody. We can't control what's coming across the borders here, but we can try to control what's here. We could, try to help people that get hooked on it. We can, whatever that, and to see the county be involved like this, I think it just says so much. So,
and with next year, with us, like I said, every July, as long as this money keeps coming in, there's a chance these companies declare bankruptcy, and obviously they're not having to pay this lawsuit out anymore. So that's why we do keep a little bit of a surplus. We don't do that we don't spend that money. That money just sits out there. But we do that because I feel like for these programs to work, you need at least 3 to 5 years. This program can't work 1 year and make a difference. We need to be able to. So like right now we try, like, we funded about half of that. So we're going to keep that in there so that way next year we can have that money for sure. And hopefully there's even more, and we get more organizations that apply to it. So, but yes, if this is something, if someone's listening, an organization that thinks they can make a difference and they can qualify on these, please reach out to me. We'll open funding again next July, or applications in May. We'd love to keep. We want to spend this money. This money has to go into our community for organizations that can qualify.
And
for
this
these
is
programs.
not something you see on TV, or this is our brothers and sisters and children and parents. It affects the whole community, and it's devastating. It's devastating economically. It's devastating emotionally. It tears families apart, tears communities apart. It's a huge burden on the hospital. It's a huge burden on the authorities.
Taxpayers.
Taxpayers. It's something we have to as a community, because we're going to have to take care of it as a community.
Yep.
So are you at liberty to say which agencies received the funding?
Yeah, absolutely. We got St. Francis County Mental Health, Criminal Justice Service, West St. Francis County School District, Family Treatment Court, East Missouri Action Agency, St. Francis County Ambulance District, the Park Hills Police Department. The Park Hills Police Department in the schools are actually going to have a drug dog just for the schools, which I think is awesome to have. Presbyterian Children Home Services, and then St. Francis County Sheriff's Department.
That is fantastic.
Yep.
So you're doing all that, but at the same time, you're also probably in the middle, or have you wrapped up all the budget work?
Well, that's the audit team does a lot of that in the commission, but we're that's always something changing. I feel like as soon as it's hard on these things because you have to set these budgets in advance, and then you never know what kind of programs, what kind of grants are going to come and things of that kind. But I think they pretty much have it wrapped up. They presented it in the commissioner meeting on Tuesday, and then we have, I think it's 10 days that we can, if there are changes, and then it will become official in the budget. So.
As county treasurer, are we in pretty good shape?
We are. We actually brought, if you guys want to know some sales tax, I brought that as well.
Bring it on. Bring them numbers.
Yeah.
Let's see here. So we ended the year, we actually about just under 5.6% increase this year from last year. So anytime we see those gains, and my goal is to always try to be that 3.5 to 5%. I think if we have that, that's usually what they say about inflation. So as long as we're staying above inflation, but yeah, we're just under $14 million this year in sales tax. And then the one I get excited about, because we worked very hard to get this passed, and we had a lot of community members help us pass this well. But our Prop P use sales tax, it's something out there we just saw just sitting out there. It's like, this is money people are buying online, especially with COVID and people quit going to stores. Seem like, but also at the same time, it helps protect our brick and mortars, because if these taxes weren't being paid online, what they can offer. I mean, you're buying cheaper online than you can buy at our brick and mortars that we know we need for our community to continue to survive with sales tax and everything else. So, a lot of last year, I think we were like $1.5 million. This is our second full year, and we are, just a few dollars away from $2.5 million this year that we've seen. That's $2.5 million of sales tax purchased online, which is crazy to think that much. And that number actually doesn't include, because it's a 2-month delay by the time the state reports it to us. So that does not show your Black Friday shopping or Cyber Monday shopping as well.
You see the tag team here. I work hard trying to figure out how to generate more retail sales tax to come in the community. He protects it and figures out how to spend it. So I just run around and around and around.
So with everything you're doing, with kids on the way, with all this opioid grant money and everything else, how do you find time to play a game of golf?
The golf has slipped, and that's okay. I've accepted that. It's been I joke around. That's why I always said I golfed a bunch before I had kids. So that way, once I have these kids, I'm burned out on it. But it's I hope someday my boys get into it. I know Parker likes watching on TV with me occasionally, but I don't know if he just does it because he likes it, or he just knows that Dad likes watching it, and he needs a break from Miss Rachel or one of these other shows, Blippi or something.
I hung mine up 35 years ago when I moved back because I knew there wouldn't be time.
Yeah.
Other than that, if I get dragged in some kind of charity tournament.
Exactly, yeah. So it's I joke around. I used to come home Saturday, no matter how you played, because golf's a game of perfection. You always want to beat what you did last time. So no matter what, you come home mad that you didn't do better than you did last time mostly. So I said most Saturdays I'd come home mad. Now I wake up. I mean, how can you be mad when you got two little boys that just want daddy's attention?
Amen.
And a little girl coming, I hope that wants daddy's attention too. So
boys used to be on me all the time about, once you go play golf, I just don't have time. It's something I gave up to do everything when I moved it back, and finally one evening they talked me into it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we got up the next morning. I said, we'll tee off at daylight as soon as we can see where the ball lands, that I got to be in a meeting at 8:30 or whatever. So he and I and Harry, we get out there, and there's it was Mike and
Uncle Mike, yeah.
So it was all of us.
Who won?
It didn't matter. I left after par 4 when I hit a hole in one.
He had a hole in one. He had,
that's a drop the mic moment.
I think he had, and if you've seen his golf swing, it's almost like it's like he had a remote control bringing this ball places. But I think he was 4 under in his 5 holes, and he left. It's like, hey, you can't do that.
I grabbed my divot and my ball, and away I went. I bid you farewell.
Leave on a high note. Yes, sir.
So let me say one thing. If you've not been to the barn, right? Yeah. You got to come here sometime. This is
really
like
awesome
the
place.
mother of all man caves. It has every sport known to men and women in here.
And great movies. I'm seeing some great signs.
But you always put what's most important to you right behind you. Anywhere, that's what's closest, right? And as I look straight at Mark, to his right is the Margarita neon sign. So I don't know what that means. It says Margaritaville with a parrot. So
probably says it all right there.
Gentlemen, we could do this like for hours. You guys are involved in so many things, have a lot of cool stories. We'll have you on again here in a couple months if that's okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. Can I say one more? Thanks today. There's some awesome organizations with programs going on today. The Rotary, St. Francis County Rotary Shootouts going on today, all day over at MAC. Tons of high school and the MAC programs playing. Yeah. Please come out and support your local teams, and also support a great organization as the St. Francis County Rotary. And then also the Park Hills Chamber is putting on their parade today. Hopefully this rain holds off. And but hopefully we can get this parade in and have another great event for kids around the area.
Yeah, one more thing. This season of giving and family and all those things, there's been several families obviously families have tragedies all the time, but this week's been a tough one. We've lost some leaders
Yeah,
in
we
the
did.
community.
Yes, we did.
Gary Busenbark, Mark Kellogg, Frank Taylor. It's just those are people that have given a lot of time and leadership and had an impact on the growth of the community and taking care of others. And you might just a thought, reach out to those families, keep them in your prayers and thoughts, because it's, especially this time of the year, it's tough.
Real quick, give that number out for CCs one more time.
573-760-0077. Most men will not give their wives' phone numbers out
on the internet.
So do appreciate that, and my apologies to my wife.
There you go.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you guys. Thanks for having us.
Community Christmas
who are we looking
dinner.
at now?
Yeah. Community Christmas dinner, CC's Pizza, Christmas Day, 2 to 4 o'clock. We hope to see you there, and we appreciate the Pettersons joining us here on the Parkland Podcast. Let's talk Save-A-Lot of the Parkland. If you are putting together a Christmas dinner, Save-A-Lot is the best place to go. I know, Mark, about 95% of what I served for Thanksgiving came from Save-A-Lot. I had an amazing Oreo dirt cake that I made.
Oh.
I have to make 2 of them for Christmas because I made one on Thanksgiving. Half of it got eaten at one spot, the other half at the other. And I know that I can not only afford to get that Oreo dirt cake, but some other great items too, because I shop the dot at Save-A-Lot.
I'll tell you what, the thing I like about Save-A-Lot is it's one-stop shopping.
Mm-hmm.
You need produce, they've
Yeah.
got it. You need milk, they've got it. You need meats, they've got it. You need dinner rolls, and trust me, you need dinner rolls if you're going to a Christmas party and you can't
Yes.
cook. They're going to say, oh, you can bring rolls. And they've got a ton of those at Save-A-Lot. Love the customer service at Save-A-Lot. Love the selection. Love the pricing.
Love the holiday custard from Prairie Farms. Only place I've found it locally is your local Save-A-Lot store. And boy, that makes some yummy Christmassy drinks.
Clint, you're a good man, and thank you for all you do in the community as well. And Chastity, it's great to work with you as well.
So when you're ready for your holiday meals, shop the dot. Shop Save-A-Lot of the Parkland in Bonne Terre, DeSoto, Potosi, Park Hills, and Farmington. Mark, Thanksgiving is over. Christmas is almost here, and maybe the first of the year might be a time for folks to think about a new profession. So no matter what you do, chances are there's a way for you to do it at Southeast Missouri Mental Health Center. Mark, one of the largest employers in our area.
They are. They have a ton of folks that work for there. A great career move for anyone. They do a program every year at the Southeast Missouri Mental Health Center where they seek the help from the public to buy gifts for their patients at the mental health center. Wow. And I am sure they would be willing to take your donations like they have in years past. So if you want to give them a call, I am sure they will tell you exactly what they need. Simple things like toiletries, stocking caps, gloves for their patients at the mental health center to help make their Christmas a better one as well.
Yeah, give them a call right now, 573-218-6800. And that's also where you can call if you're curious about maybe starting a new career with Southeast Missouri Mental Health Center. We talk about some of the other places that advertise with the Parkland Podcast, how they have good relations with the employees working there for long periods of time. Same is true about Southeast Missouri Mental Health Center. State of Missouri, an equal opportunity employer. We celebrate diversity and are committed to creating an inclusive environment for all employees. Back on the Parkland Podcast, we are talking politics, and we bring in a man who served the city of Farmington very well for many years, who is throwing his hat back into that circle. Mitt Landrum. Mitt, thanks so much for joining us on the Parkland Podcast. Appreciate your time.
Well, thanks so much for having me. This is my first trip to the barn, so this is, pretty interesting looking around here.
Yeah.
The ultimate man cave, and here we are.
You are a former mayor of Farmington, but your service to the city of Farmington extends well beyond that. For a lot of people, you're even more well known for your work with economic development.
Well, that's true. I started that when I was chamber president in 1979. And at that time, if you could have been in the city, there was this great feeling of if we could just get something started. if we could just get something started. And Farmington has had many periods when it was going pretty well, but things had kind of fallen into almost like the city was asleep. And so what we were trying to do was to make something happen. And I talked with Ron Short. What do you think we need? And he said an industrial park. So that was that. We went to work on that. And there had been a study done. Farmington's one of the most studied towns anywhere in the United States. But there had been a study done just a few years earlier that showed that the perfect industrial property was on the west side of Highway 67. It was a piece of the State Hospital farm, 168 acres that had been cut off from the rest of the farm by 67. And so we knew where that was, and so the idea was we just had to get it away from the state, which we did. We were successful in doing that. And so that got things going.
Yeah. Who were the first businesses, I guess, to locate in there and kind of get the ball rolling?
Well, the first one was Iron Mountain Forge with Terry Braxton, and they're no longer in town, but he was a pretty interesting story. He started it at a resort that he owned down on Current River or someplace down in the National Forest down there, and he had made some of his own park equipment because he couldn't find anything in the marketplace that would do it. And so one year they hosted the state of Arkansas came up, and they had the other resort owners in there for kind of a seminar, and the state of Arkansas Parks Department came in to talk. And the guy just on passing said, "Hey, where did you get these picnic tables and these fire rings?" And Terry said, "Well, we make them out here in a shed." And he said, "Well, would you make some for the state of Arkansas?" And he said, "Sure, send me a purchase order." So I got a purchase order for $500,000.
Oh, wow.
About 2 weeks later, he said, "Oh, my gosh." And so they sold the resort, and they were looking for a place to go. And we had a beer warehouse just east of town that was empty. And so that's where they moved in. They started there, but they outgrew that very shortly, and we had just gotten the industrial park, and they wanted to move, and the city had hired an economic development, Larry Hughes. And I don't know if you remember Larry. He was
I do remember Larry, yeah.
But he was also a really smart guy. And he invented a method of financing, because that was the problem. How were you going to get enough money together? And so he invented a method of financing where the city put in some, Terry put in some, the state put in some, and then we applied for a federal grant that was a matching grant. So we used the contributions from the other parties to match the federal grant, and that was enough to get them going. Huh. And that method, though, Larry's method of financing industrial projects, was copied all around the United States.
Well, whether it's Iron Mountain Forge, whether it's any of the businesses that have come and gone, Trimfoot, Huffy, all of them, people don't realize all the work that goes into industrial development and recruitment. 1 step forward, 2 steps back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. That's an amazing process.
Well, it is, and we developed a system. So we had like a team. Whenever we got an industrial prospect, we could make a few phone calls and excuse me, and things would just start happening. Judy Sheets would go out and take care of getting the flowers in the rooms ready in the local motel for when they came in. We were using spokes at that time. John Fitz would drop whatever he was doing, and he would do a presentation on medical and so forth. And we had this team ready to go. And so I'm serious. We could make a phone call. We could host somebody inside an hour and put on a really credible site visit for them. And I think that was a large part of our success.
Patience is probably one of the biggest keys to this.
Oh, yeah. Our strategy was really pretty simple. We just wanted to survive one more day because we were always competing against like 3 or 4 other states, towns in those other states, Kentucky and Arkansas and so forth. And they usually had narrowed things down. Farmington was the town if they went to Missouri. We were it. And so our strategy was just stay alive one more day. And so we would brainstorm how we could do that. And basically what we would do is we would come up with something. And then we would call them back every week. And we'd say, we've been thinking about this a little bit. We got a few more ideas. So, we might be back in town. And so we just kept ourselves constantly in front of them. And at the end, we won a lot more than we lost.
Talk a little bit about your personal careers. You've worked for some interesting companies, I believe, over the years, and things that you've done that I guess kind of help build the resume along with the economic development of what voters that maybe go to the polls in April can look for out of you.
Well, I started out. I graduated from Washington University. Excuse me, and I have a degree in physics from them.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, this was in 1966. Of course, a lot of the listeners, that's like ancient history, but the space race was going full blast. And so I got a job working down at Marshall Space Flight Center. And I went down there and I worked in NASA's Propulsion and Vehicle Engineering Lab. Now, I wasn't a NASA employee. I worked for a contractor that they had hired to do this. And so our job was to keep the moon rocket from shaking itself to pieces. And so I did that for a couple of years, and then I went to work in a think tank down there. And so I worked on the anti-ballistic missile defense system and a few other things like that. And I also had a contract with NASA to do basic astronomy, and so I did that for a while also. But what happened was that they had 20 Apollo missions that they wanted to do, okay? And when they got to the 17th, they called it quits. And so the last 3 Apollo missions were never done, okay, 18, 19, and 20. The rockets were built, they were sitting there, but Lyndon Johnson was president at that time. He needed the money for Vietnam, and he needed it for a program he had hoped to get going called the Great Society. Yeah. And do you remember that? And they were doing job training all over the United States. They were going to actually end poverty. That was the hope. And he needed the money, so he just took it out of NASA, and so that was it. I mean, the employment just collapsed all across the United States from scientists who were working in the space business, and I was one of the casualties of that. So I got a job working for Xerox Corporation, and I learned how to sell and learned something about business from Xerox, and it really gave me some good skills and being able to meet people, and you know how you need to have that ability to do some things in life, and so that's where I learned that. My father needed some help back in the insurance business. He was running an insurance agency here, so I left Xerox and came back home, and stayed in Farmington ever since. So I came back in 1973 is when I came back and went to work in the insurance business, but I had written software because I like technology, and so I wrote every one of these things that I've worked on. I've always been a software developer. So I bought my father out, and then in 1999 I sold the insurance business to First State Community Bank, and I started a software company.
Mittware,
yeah.
Huh.
And so I did that, and basically what I did there was I wrote software for people who help people with disabilities, agencies who work with disabled people. And I did that until I retired in 2022.
Wow.
So,
well, your track record speaks for itself. You've done so much in so many different areas. I guess my question is, why at this point in time throw your hat back into the ring as mayor?
Well, when I was mayor last time, I was mayor for 8 years, and I was doing software at that time, and so I would have my head down in that software, focusing on solving some kind of problem. When the phone would ring, it'd be City Hall. I'd need to go talk to a developer, so I'd have to drop that, go back to City Hall, talk with that developer, work on things for the city, and go back and try to get my head back into the software. And my days were so fragmented that it was hard to do that. But now I'm retired. I have time to do things, and I've never stopped thinking about the city and how to make things better for the people of Farmington. And I just have it on my heart to do it. It's not that I've got some axe to grind with City Hall or anything like that, but I know how to do the job, and I can give it a lot more time than I did last time.
For all that you've accomplished, do you still get referred to as Chris Landrum's husband or Becky Landrum's son?
Oh, both. Both. And you know what? That's true. The women in my life have been pretty astonishing people.
Yes, they will.
Yes, they have.
I wanted to ask you about Dan Peak. I know that you were pretty good friends with Dan. What a great musician.
Oh my gosh, yes, I love his music.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about your relationship with him and how you got to know him. And
well, you know, Dan had a connection back here to Farmington. Most people don't realize it, but his family goes all the way back to some of the early pioneers. Once we drove out Old Fredericktown Road, Dan and I did, I don't know, years ago, and he was showing me, this is our family cemetery out here, one of those little pioneer cemeteries on the side of the road. And he goes back to like the Murphys.
Wow.
I don't know exactly which of those families, the Murphys and the Longs, some of the originals that moved in here in the early 1800s, but that's, you know, the Peaks go back that far. And so he's had this connection, and have you read his book?
I have not.
Oh, I've got a copy I could loan you, but he wrote a book about it, but basically his dad was in the Air Force, and he was traveling around as an Air Force brat, and he was in England, and at that high school he met the other two people that were going to be in the group America, and they formed this garage band, I guess, and that's how it all got started. But when he finally, they had a bad breakup, and when he finally settled, he decided to come back to Farmington, which is where his parents were living, and his sister, and so forth.
Wrote a lot of Christian music after that.
Yeah.
He did. Yeah, his life story was really a journey. So I was really sorry to see Dad pass. It always seemed to me like it was just too quick for somebody like him.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know he was going to be a part of the Baby Boomer concert too, and that was going to be so exciting to have him in the fold with that. And unfortunately, because of his health at the end, it didn't happen. What is a goal? What is something that you see as a high priority item if you are elected again to become mayor of Farmington?
Well, you know, my strategy, or not my strategy, but my philosophy about leadership like this is that I need to be the chief public servant. And to, you know, my philosophy about leadership is simple. I try to make everybody that I'm leading succeed. And so that starts with the people in City Hall. If I can make them happier and make them more successful in their jobs, they're the ones that are going to take care of the people of Farmington. And then from there, extend it on out to people who want to come and bring a business here. What can the city do to help people succeed? And so that's just the basic philosophy that I have about things like this. Specifically, they're just a whole collection of things. But what I really am going to do is I'm going to go out and talk with the people of town and see what their experience has been. What is it that they think that the city needs to be doing? Excuse me, to go forward. What's been their situation? What can we do as a city to help them better? And so once I get that, I'll combine them with I've got a list of stuff, and I'll kind of. That's why I said I'd like to come back and do another podcast and talk about that. But I want to get out and talk with people around town first.
Mitt, we wish you the best of luck. You've been a success at everything you do. And now you're a success at being interviewed on the podcast.
Well, yeah, I hope so. You know, I've always, when I was younger, and my dad was a volunteer. He got community hospital started, and I would look at his friends, and they would do stuff, and then they would do it for about a year, and then they would quit. And I always thought that just about the time that they got going, where they kind of figured out what to do, they left. And so I decided that I would not do that, that I would stay in as long as I could. And so I have some time left, and I have some time to give, and that's why I'm going to hopefully get back into City Hall.
Awesome.
Very good. And then, so we'll get you on the podcast again, but you'll still be one less than Chris, as she is a 3-time guest on the Parkland podcast.
Yeah, she set the record.
She's the leader in the clubhouse right now.
Oh, she is?
Yeah.
Well, she'll stay that way, too, because they're going to keep doing that bake sale.
Oh, yeah.
My gosh, you know.
I sure hope so.
Oh, I hope so, too. The area needs it. If you look, Farmington, 63640 is like a middle-class bubble. Mm-hmm. But we are surrounded by people who live much closer to poverty than we do. And I also need to point out I'm going to be on the ballot in 2 places because I'm running for mayor, but at the same time I'm running to renew my term as the trustee at the college.
Oh, yes. Okay.
And that I got into that because we need a world-class training facility. We were the only section of the state that did not have that. There are 22 other industrial training facilities around the state of Missouri. Southeast Missouri was the only place that didn't have one. And so thanks to Governor Parsons and our legislators, Mike and Dale, they've done just a great job to get back the money. So now we have that training center, and I want to stay on the board and try to make sure that thing succeeds. Because that's the way, if you look at the people around us, the average family income outside of 63640 is about $10,000 below the state average. The average family income. And so one of our goals should be we ought to get everybody up to the state average. That would mean hundreds of millions of dollars flowing around our area, supporting businesses and also making those families' lives much better. And I think and training is the way to get there.
Well, if you were here in 1980, left, and came back in 2024, you would not recognize the college.
No, you really wouldn't.
Yeah.
Joe has done such a fantastic... Has he been on the podcast?
Yes, he has.
He's a two-timer.
Okay.
Two-time guest, not a two-timer.
Yeah.
Hadn't
Sorry,
he
thank you for
done
clarifying.
a great job out there at Mac, though?
Yes.
Oh, my gosh.
I've told him, I said, he's made it cool to be from Missouri College.
He has.
Yeah.
Yeah, he really has. He's put the thing back on the map, and I don't know what the perception of the public was prior to his coming, but I know he is. He's been out in the public, and he does the baby boomer concerts. He's the MC, and I think he does such a good job at that. But he does a good job at just about everything.
He does, and I told him recently too. When he came, when that hire was made, everybody's like, "Oh, this guy's just using this as a stepping stone. He's going to go up to SLU or wherever, next time." And here we are, 6, 7, 8 years later?
Yeah, I think it's been about 5 or 6.
Yeah. And Joe's still here and putting everything into it, and that says a lot to me too.
Well, and he really does well at selling the college around. Joe, I don't think he even realized it because he never had that opportunity before he got here, but he's an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And they're always, you go to conferences, for trustees and stuff, and they always tell you guys need to be more entrepreneurial. Well, we're doing it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them, the college culture is not entrepreneurial.
Right.
It's really conservative and so forth. So here comes Joe, and he's really doing a great job. Yeah. So
awesome.
We're pleased to have him. But anyway, I'll be on the ballot in 2 places. I hope that's not too confusing.
Very
to people.
Good. We always appreciate your time. We'll talk to you again in a couple of months, and best of
Okay.
luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Merry
Thanks
Christmas,
for
Happy
having
New
me.
Year to you too.
Yeah, Merry Christmas to you guys.
Very good. Mitt Landrum joining us here on the Parkland Podcast. Booze and Bark Carpet, Booze and Bark Trailer Sales, Highway 67 between Park Hills and Farmington. Some people call it the Fairgrounds exit. I call it the Booze and Bark exit because that's where you get off the highway to go see the fine folks, Brock and everybody at Booze and Bark. Been at it for such a long time, and there are so many long-tenured employees that work for Booze and Bark.
And they sell everywhere. Oh my gosh, they are a great part of St. Francis County, but they have customers 100 miles plus in any direction.
Yeah, I know they do a lot in the Columbia area as well.
Yes. And don't forget about their trailers too. If you're in the mood for a trailer. But you're getting the Booze and Bark name, and they've been doing this for decades now. So you're dealing with one of the premier flooring companies in the area.
2 things I've never heard anybody say they regret doing. That's upgrading your flooring in your home or getting a trailer. I've never heard anybody say they regret either one of those purchases.
And they've got a lot to choose from. If selection is the name of the game with you, the Booze and Barks are the folks you need to go see.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year from everybody at Booze and Bark Carpet and Trailer Sales, Highway 67 between Park Hills and Farmington.
And look for our pictures on their billboard.
Farmington, Missouri, your destination for a perfect weekend getaway. Dine in at one of our quality restaurants or visit one of our surrounding wineries. Farmington offers a variety of parks and other recreational leisure time activities. See some sights, have some fun, and go wherever your heart takes you. Sounds like a lot of fun, so get a room and stay a while. All this and more awaits you just 60 miles south of St. Louis. Discover Farmington today.
Time to check music here on the Parkland podcast. Mark, before we get started with our selections, we got a selection for a possible song sent in to our Facebook page.
Nice.
And the song suggestion is very good. Aqualung by Jeff Rotol. You know the person who sent this message in. I'll give you 3 guesses, and I guarantee you'll never get it. But that'll give you a little hint. She played flute in high school, and that's why she liked that song so much.
I love that song. If it's not my favorite Jethro Tull song, it is my second favorite Jethro Tull song. A little trivia for you here on that. Ian Anderson, the flute player,
yes,
and singer for Aqualung, his daughter is married to the actor that played Rick Grimes in the TV show The Walking Dead.
Oh, really?
So,
wow.
Little bit of trivia there for you.
So who suggested it of all our and she is a very loyal follower and listener of the podcast.
By the way, Locomotive Breath would be my other really good
Locomotive
choice.
Breath's awesome.
You tell me.
Yeah, Chris Engler.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Chris.
Yeah.
I've always liked you. Now I'm starting to love you. All right. Good choice. Good
All
choice.
Right. So what is your song of the week? What do you got for us?
Well, only because I was listening to it not too long ago, and the fact that this guy's voice is amazing, how it's held up over the years. Montrose, Rock Candy, featuring Sammy Hagar. And it is amazing because Sammy Hagar's voice, he's got to be 75 or 80 years old.
And he's still screaming.
He's still screaming. He can still hold a note, and he makes a pretty good tequila from what I've heard.
Yeah.
But that Rock Candy song is really good. Man, he did Montrose. He did his solo stuff. Right. Van Halen.
Yeah.
Gosh,
Cabo Wabo Friends or whatever he calls them.
Yeah, I mean, he's just amazing. So it's more a tribute to Sammy Hagar. Yeah. Saw him in concert. Puts on a great show. He knows how to win the crowd over because he came out in the St. Louis Blues jersey.
Absolutely. He loves St. Louis.
Loves St. Louis. Yeah. St. Louis loves him. So that's my song. My album is The Kids Are All Right. Anybody who knows me knows that I am a huge fan of The Who. Seen him in concert 3 different times. This song was, this is from a movie. They had a movie actually called The Kids Are All Right.
Oh, yeah.
And this has everything from My Generation to a quick one, Join Together, Won't Get Fooled Again, Baba O'Reilly. Everything you'd love about The Who is on this album. You definitely need to check it out. It's a great album.
Very, very good. That is your album pick for the week. All right, for song pick, I'm going to dip into Christmas 1 week early, and I want to talk about one of my favorite rockin' Christmas songs, and that's by the immortal Tom Petty, and the song is Christmas All Over. Love that tune. Always love playing it. My favorite line from it is, Christmas is a rockin' time. Hold your body next to mine. Tom Petty.
Sounds like Tom Petty.
Yeah, absolutely. So Christmas All Over. One of the great Christmas songs, and I know you'll do a Christmas song next week too. But any favorites that you played on the radio over the years?
Bruce Springsteen, Santa Claus is coming to town.
Yeah, that was always a good one.
That was great.
And I know when I worked at J98, especially the
Please
first
don't go. Grandma got run over.
Oh
by
no! No, I was just going to bring up how difficult it was to make all the holiday greetings fit in your hour and still play 2 carols, 2 songs, and follow the right pattern every time.
It was tough.
It was hard. It kind of burned me out on Christmas music for a few years. I won't lie, but but now I'm back into it. And as far as albums go, Mark Toti brought me a great album to show you. Grand Funk Railroad, Caught in the Act. Now they're just Grand Funk. They've dropped the railroad off of their name, I guess, to be more current. Oh, did the railroad sue them?
I think so.
Did they really? Well,
I know that. Well, I may be thinking of Chicago because Chicago, a little more trivia. They were Chicago Transit Authority.
Oh, my gosh, that first album was amazing.
But then the Chicago Transit Authority, the actual Transit Authority, said, we'll take you to court if you do that, so they just became Chicago.
Also, too, Peter Cetera got beat up right before they recorded 25 or 624 at a Dodger game. He was Dodgers and Giants, and a Giants fan beat the crap out of him. And apparently, in the recording, you can tell his mouth is wired shut because you can't really understand him too well.
5 extra 4.
Right. Man, we've gone all over the place here. But anyways, great album from Grand Funk Railroad, The Locomotion, Closer to Home, which is a great tune as well.
It's my favorite.
We're an American band. Probably their biggest hit, and some foot stomping music. I love that tune too. That's a good long one there.
The American Band, when that album came out, I used to have a copy of it. Don't know what happened. It was actually gold.
Oh, wow.
It was gold.
Because they were it's gold standard American band. Very, very cool. Who do we have coming up on next week's, the final episode of 2024 on the Parkland podcast?
We have a guest that you have scheduled to come in.
Oh, that's right. I've
Talk a
scheduled
little
both
basketball.
of them. Yes. John Petty, the Central High School athletic director in his second year at that position, will come in, give us the preview for the Central Christmas Tournament, the premier event that happens in between Christmas and New Year's every year. So John will be our guest. We'll also have a Christmas story from Mary Lee Visnosky
Very
from
good.
Earth Mother Health Foods. She'll have that for us as well. And that'll be episode 29 of the Parkland podcast, our last of the year. Have a great week. Thanks for liking, subscribing, and listening all the way to the end.
Ho, ho.
We'll see you next week
On the podcast.